This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. OPEC Plus is discussing a further easing of oil output cuts from August as oil prices rise on demand recovery, but no decision had been taken yet on the exact volume to bring back to the market, two OPEC Plus sources said on Tuesday. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, known as OPEC Plus, is returning 2.1 million barrels per day, BPD, to the market from May through July as part of a plan to gradually unwind last year's record oil output curbs. OPEC Plus meets next on July 1st. It is highly possible to increase gradually from August, said one of the sources, adding that no final decision had been made and the exact volumes are yet to be agreed on.
Crude oil values in many parts of the world are rising on stronger demand and tighter supply, suggesting physical markets are catching up with a futures rally and providing more fundamental support for prices, traders and analysts say. Brent futures have rallied over 40% in 2021, boosted by output curbs led by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, and on hopes of recovering demand. But, until recently, physical markets lagged, traders said. A lack of or limited arbitrage opportunities to send crude from the Atlantic Basin to Asia, and from the United States to Europe, also helped drive up crude values, meaning each region is effectively trading its own supply.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The United States and Brazil, the world's top two ethanol producers, are expected to hold down production in coming months because of the surging cost of corn and sugar. Tight corn and sugar supplies are passing through to ethanol costs, making producers reluctant to raise production, and boosting gasoline prices as well. The United States and Brazil are the linchpins of worldwide ethanol supply, accounting for 75% of global ethanol exports last year, according to S&P Global Platts Analytics. U.S. gasoline prices on average are above $3 per gallon for the first time since 2014, American Automobile Association data shows, while prices in Brazil are at 5.40 reais per liter, $4.06 per gallon, in June in São Paulo state, near all-time highs.
Canada has set ambitious targets for slashing emissions to fight climate change, but faces a stiff challenge. Not only is its economy dependent on oil production, but the Canadian oil industry's carbon emissions are among the world's highest for every barrel of oil it pumps. The Canadian oil patch exemplifies the most vexing problem of the energy transition. In the long term, Canada needs to cut its dependence on the energy sector that accounts for 10% of its economy, as the world moves away from planet-warming fossil fuels. In the short term, Canada needs to clean up the process of extracting oil to comply with national emissions targets.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
China's State Reserves Administration on Tuesday said it would publicly auction a total of 100,000 tons of non-ferrous metals early next month in the first round of a rare and highly anticipated release of its stockpiles. The National Food and Strategic Reserves Administration said in three separate notices it would auction 20,000 tons of copper, 30,000 tons of zinc and 50,000 tons of aluminium on July 5 to 6. The amount of zinc being sold is equivalent to 5.7% of China's monthly production, based on official data for May. For copper, the auction volume is 2.3% of May's refined output and for aluminium it is 1.5%.
Japan's crude steel output rose 42.2% in May from a year earlier, climbing for a third consecutive month as industry demand picked up from a coronavirus-related slump, the Japan Iron and Steel Federation said on Tuesday. Output, which is not seasonally adjusted, increased to 8.42 million tons in the world's number 3 steel producer, up 7.7% from April. Steel output in May last year plunged 31.7% from a year earlier as the pandemic collapsed demand, forcing steelmakers to suspend some of their blast furnaces. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. Malaysia has surpassed Indonesia to become the biggest crude palm oil (CPO) exporter to top consumer India in 2020-21, after Indonesia imposed heavy taxes on exports of the edible oil last year, industry officials told Reuters. Malaysia's palm oil exports to India surged 238% to 2.42 million tons in the first 7 months of 2020-21 marketing year started on November 1. According to data compiled by the Solvent Extractors Association of India, (SEA), a trade body of Indian vegetable oil refiners and traders. During the period, Indonesia's palm oil shipments to India fell 32% to 2 million tons.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.